Today's passage is from the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verses 1 to 14. Jeremiah explains the historical context of his words as the chapter opens. This was the final and complete exile into Babylon from Jerusalem under the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, one which Jeremiah had long predicted and not been believed. He didn't go with them. Against his will, he was taken off into Egypt. So he wrote a letter to the exiles in Babylon to give them the words of God to them in their situation of exile. They had been forcibly removed from their homeland. And although that sounds like a tragedy for anyone, the land and the temple were so tied up with their identity that this would have been deeply suffered. It would have been a deep loss and a great grief for them. They would have been truly lost and bewildered, and certainly would have felt abandoned by God, and perhaps thought that in that foreign land they could not pray to their God and expect to be heard. So the message of God which Jeremiah gives in his letter must have come as quite a surprise. He says, build houses, marry, have children, settle in, make yourselves at home, and even pray for the people and the cities where you are now living. Actually, it's wise advice. They were in a situation they hadn't chosen. They had been defeated and humiliated by the enemy and dragged off into exile. They could have been eaten up with resentment and bitterness and anger and rage, all very exhausting and stressful and miserable. Instead, they're told to make the best of it, in brief. Be happy as you can in that place. Don't waste energy regretting the past. Move on, adapt to what is now. Look for possibilities. Don't hold on to complaints. It is good advice for how to cope with things, with change that we haven't chosen and that we can't control. It doesn't stop there. This isn't the end for the people of the covenant with Yahweh. The letter goes on to say, I have plans for you, plans for your welfare, to give you a future with hope. God had not abandoned his people. His promises still stand. And there was a great reassurance that prayer will indeed still work in that far country. If you seek me with all your heart, I will let you find me. In due course, around 70 years after the exile, with a change of regime, policies changed, and the Israelites were allowed to return and rebuild Jerusalem. But Jeremiah, of course, did not live to see that, and nor did most of the exiles. Hence, the need for those who were uprooted not to hanker after either the past or the future, but to get on and get stuck into the present, and to find ways of flourishing where they were. Wise advice indeed. We all find change difficult, and yet we experience so much of it. We spend time and energy being nostalgic, and wishing things were the way they used to be in the past, instead of focusing our energy on the present and how best to deal with it, how to make it work for us now. Those who are adaptable and who take a positive attitude towards new developments are the ones who survive change best and get over it quickest. So if your thoughts are focused on the glass half empty, try thinking about all the ways in which the glass is actually half full. It is a healthier and happier outlook, and even Jeremiah, who was rather a depressive type, recognised the need for that positive outlook.